Hi, I am going to speed through some of the games, whatever shows up in my replay for the evening, and then call it a night. Here is the deck list, and I will also bring it up at the end of the video. If you don't want to chill out here, you can wait then. I know sometimes with these YouTube videos, the beginning is fairly blurry before YouTube catches up and smooths it out. Anyway, so I'm going to kind of turbo through these games, and we will see what happens. So this game was against Spoonman Jack here, and I remember this was quite a challenging game. I have a great hand, but he has a few early threats that are somewhat scary. Plays Precinct Captain. That's definitely not a card that you want to see your opponent ever have him play. At least hitting you. So I throw a chumper in front of it, and he plays Banisher Priest, slowing me down a good bit. So decide this turn, instead of doing anything else, what I'm going to do is Trinket and lock down his mana before he can get Helioid going. And I tried with Doom Traveler here, even though it does give him a flyer to block my Cloud of Fairies for Edric, because I was trying to keep him off of... I wanted to dig into his devotion capabilities there. Probably not the right call, actually, but, you know. So I play Oracle, since I'm not going to be able to draw a card this turn, and this has the potential to assist with Winter Orb by finding lands over time. And then all of his guys get Vigilant. And so what I do is I realize that, what I can't do, though, is allow Precinct Captain to continuously hit me. And although since I didn't get lucky with Oracle, I've decided I'm just going to trade him off now while he's, and play it that way instead. Since I do see the Sword of Feast and Famine, so I have another workaround for Orb. So I double block the Precinct Captain. And of course he first strikes Oracle, and Trinket Mage kills this guy. So down comes Sword. And so the thinking here is, yeah, he's got a flyer, but I'm going to be able to equip Fairies, and then in short order, Sword will do its thing. So he gets a Grand Abolisher down, something I didn't want to see, and starts hitting me with his commander, which is something I didn't want to have happen. And I draw Crucible and thought about throwing it down, but I figured what I need to do is get Sword active as quickly as possible, so I go ahead and just equip Sword and send, and get rid of his 1/1. There was always a chance he'd misplay and allow that to hit him, in which case, I just win. And I eat the damage share and draw Cavern, so play my commander instead of playing Crucible, which might have been a mistake. And then he oblations my sword, which really makes me feel bad about playing my commander there. But I draw a land off. And finally, I've had enough with Helioid, so I go ahead and just chump. Send in Cloud and draw a card. And I know I didn't draw Shackles there, and wonderful. We've got a bug. So this game is going to bug out. And we're the victim of the replay glitch, and I don't have time to screw around with it, but basically the end of the game was me at 3 life and killing Nature's Claiming my own Crypt to get to 7 at a point in which I had managed to gain control of the game. And when he sees me claim my Crypt during upkeep, instead of dying to it, he gives up. So it was an awesome game, coming down to 3 life and then untapping these 2 and then putting Crypt on the stack and then responding by claiming it and living, but you won't get to see that, which sucks. So that was Spoonman Jack there. So here's one against Noril Grand, and hopefully this doesn't bug out. I hope we don't have a series of bugged games here. So this looks like a mulligan, yep. A mulligan into that. And that's pretty good start. First turn Arayo, perhaps. Second turn, Demand, Edric. And my opponent's pondering and Serum Visioning. These cards mostly suck. Brainstorm is great because you can put back cards you don't want and shuffle them away, but Ponder and Serum Visions, I don't know. I'd rather just play cards that say draw or dig much deeper. Impulse is a much better card than either of those. For example, Merchant Scroll, Mystical Tutor, and there's a lot of things I'd be playing before I started playing those cards. Of the two, Ponder is stronger. Stream Vision is really low on the power meter. So I draw a couple of cards there, and I'm trying to figure out, like, can I flip Arayo right now? Let's play Elves and Glen, because not quite. I did the math and I was just like a little bit short. So pre-combat, I go ahead and fetch up a Cradle. That's one spell. Play the Cradle and play Oracle in case there's a land on top now. 2 spells. I don't see one, and I don't want to flip Arayo just yet because I'd like to draw cards with him. So send in. And he's got a trick. Venser. So he gets the Venser Arayo back. So it is, even if I was going to flip it, it wouldn't matter. And he gets to block Edric. I still get to draw a card. So I do. And I go ahead and just cast Arayo, and I believe there was a land on the top. So I play that, and then I cast Llanowar Elf, leaving up a blue for Glen. So now the top card of my library is Skull Clamp. My opponent casts Underworld Cerberus, which cards and graveyards can't be targeted, and when it dies, you basically living death all the creatures. No, you raise dead all creatures. Everybody just takes all the dead things and puts them back in their hand. And it can only be blocked with 3 more creatures, not that that matters. So end of his turn, I go ahead and chord for 1, and I fetch up Wirewood. And this purpose of that was to enable an Arayo flip. Draw and play a Forest. Draw Natural Order, play Forest off the top of my deck. And go ahead and cast Edric. Smash with many cards. He blocks Finhorn, so I just pick it up to untap my Mana Elf. Draw a few more cards and play a land. Wirewood, Finhorn, Arch Druid, get another insect, Floating Green, Natural Order, flip Arayo, go get Trastodon. Yeah, he gives up there. Pretty awesome stuff. So here's Mr. Be Yourself, and he gets to play with Maelstrom Wanderer, and I have a acceptable hand. Got a little deceleration for him, leak and strip. Got some search. It's not great, but it will do. Going first, it's much stronger than going second. I mean, some hands are great no matter what, but in this case, going first obviously was a huge perk here because I'm able to stunt his development. My countering is stone, and then it's so weird to see Urborg in this deck. The only thing I can imagine he's playing Urborg for is because he wants to play lands that don't produce mana at all. Things like perhaps the Tabernacle at Pendrell Vale, Mishra's Workshop, which may produce land but doesn't always, mana rather. Stuff like that. I would guess, maybe he's playing like Thawing Glaciers and he wants to be able to tap it for mana when he doesn't, on the turns when he's not able to use it because the way his mana works out. In that sense, if that's what he's doing, this is actually very clever. Otherwise, I don't know what the hell's going on. So anyway, I'm not going to strip that though. I'd take his useful colored mana and then go ahead and develop some more, which basically is like putting a Llanowar Elf into play as far as Court of Calling is concerned, but he gives up, I guess, his mana. His mana had to be pretty awful considering he played that Urborg there. So, did I just play Glansman? No, here he is, Glansman. Okay. So this guy, he's playing Daxos and Meletus, and I have gosh, man, if this was a forest, or better yet, a sackland, how freaking great. Even if it was a forest, though, with Sylvan Ranger, amazing. But I figure I didn't want to risk it, so I take a mulligan, and I see this hand, and this is kind of sketchy, but I've got tricks. I don't have 2 blue for mana drain, but I do have that extra forest with Scrib Ranger. I'm figuring he's going to play turn 3 Daxos here, and give me the window that I need to get it into play, and he does. And the beautiful thing about this is Scrib will block Daxos all day long, so it's also very hard for him to, do anything about it. It has to be a white answer for the most part. So anyway, so I just go ahead and throw Cloud down, and then 1-2, Scrib the forest, and cast Sword and pass. I could have attacked and then untapped the Scrib, I suppose, but I mean, I wasn't sure at first if I was going to cast Edric or the Sword. If I was going to cast Edric, I don't want to attack first, And then as I thought about it, I realized sword was the right call, because while I can block this now, I'm only safe until he finds like a white removal spell, Oblivion Ring, Path to Exile, Swords to Plowshares. So I don't really want to push my luck. I want to kill his commander before things get out of hand. He plays Thada, and I'm like so glad that I played this sword here and not Edric. So equip Cloud of Fairies and kill that freaking thing right off the bat, and then just untap the cloud so I can replay a forest. Not that that really does me a hell of a lot of good, but I mean it's the technically correct play there, so I might as well. Plays Golem's Eye, very expensive soul ring, but not completely trash or anything. It's just semi-sketchy. The kind of thing you want to put into a super heavy artifact ramp deck. I'm not so sure that blue-white Daxos is the one that it belongs in. Look at it as like a nerfed Thran Dynamo. So Daxos dies, and I just pass. I've got 2 counters in my hand and I'm in control, so there's no reason to play Edric here and get greedy. The mana drain is Metamorph, which would allow me to develop on my turn, but he gives up. So that works out for me pretty nicely. Everybody keeps going back to this. So here I was playing in 5 Anno, and this video is getting a little long, so I'm going to try to speed through these games a bit quicker. He's playing Porphyros, and this is a pretty strong hand. It's not exceptional, but I mean it's a very reasonable hand, I should say. So he gets an early bit of ramp there, but so do I with that top deck's Cradle. And then he gets Goblin Matron, which he uses to fetch Recruiter. It's cool. He could have used Imperial Recruiter also if he has that in his deck. So go ahead and just Jason. I'm looking for a solution because with the Recruiter in his hand, trouble is a brewing. He plays Porphyros, so now Jace probably doesn't have a hell of a lot of time before it's going to die. But I'll use as much time as I can. So Scrib and then swing, trading a Boreal Druid for a Goblin token, and then casting Crucible. So he goes for War Chief. That definitely needs to get Force-of-Willed. We cannot allow him to have that. But it does mean that he gets to recruit, and he recruits up Ringleader. I agree with that. Sharpshooter, I agree. Kiki, I agree. Krenko, I agree. Skirk, Prospector, disagree. Ib Halfheart, absolutely don't agree with all. These should have been Siege Gang Commander should have been one of them. And as far as the other one goes, I'm not even sure that he should have got anything else. But yeah, there we go. So we'll go ahead and close that. We don't know what order he puts them in. But then again, I'm not thinking about it too hard. But definitely Siege Gang should have been one. That Ib Halfheart was terrible. So maybe the Skirk Prospector would be a little bit better with Siege Gang. But at any rate, I think he didn't do it as well as he could have. So send in the team just because I need cards. I need to stop the Ringleader, and then I +2 Jace, and I see the Sharpshooter, and decide that I'm actually going to leave a Goblin Sharpshooter on top because a Goblin Sharpshooter is not a Goblin Ringleader, and I have a Force-of-Will for it, which I can cast by tapping 1, 2, 3, 4, and then Tropical Islanding, untapping, and then tapping the bird for 5. But before I even have a chance to counterspell, he gives up, so that's fine. So now I'm playing against Everybody Knows. Or maybe Everybody Nos. I'm not sure if he's like a racing fan or what. He's playing Teferi. And this looks like a keeper, especially going first. So ramp out my Arbor, which is really pretty safe bet against Mono Blue. Cradle down to Edric, and he has no Force Spike or anything of that nature, and he plays Chalice. So I'm able to draw 2 cards. And then Garrick untapping Crucible. So bad for him. And playing a Sackland, Carrick, Sword, Equip, Winter Orb, Smash, untap. Have a counterspell backup, float some mana, don't do anything with it. End my attack phase, cast Jace, still with counterspell backup, draw 3 more cards and pass the turn. Yeah, he's had enough. So, and then I'm playing against ZZ Ghost Wolf ZZ. I guess it's like Sleeping Ghost Wolf? Snoring Ghost Wolf? I don't really know. I don't know how to pronounce that, but playing Derevi, so yeah, this works out. So I play first turn Island, and decided to keep a pretty sketchy hand here, but I wait as long as possible to try to find myself a source of green, and when I don't find one, I go ahead and just Mystical for Brainstorm, and then draw and basically Ancestral, effectively looking for my green, and luckily I hit. Just put a couple cards back and Simic up and strip his land. Pass to the turn. He goes for Simic Signet, and I allow that. And go ahead and Crypt into Tezzeret, into Map. And he casts Pilgrim's Eye, which I don't allow, because I am intending to Mana Screw him. I just needed to wait one more turn before I did it. So, sack for Strip, play the Strip, restore the Strip Mine, play the Strip Mine again, untap, and cast a Sword, and he's had enough. Which is pretty cool. Next turn, of course, Tezzeret searches for 3, and we go get Crucible, and we continue the Strip Mine madness while casting Edric and equipping a Sword. So here I was playing against Talon 77, running Prosh, and it looks like I have a mulligan there, and this is probably a keeper. So it's nothing you pump the fist at, but you know, hey, sometimes you just got to keep hands like this and trust your deck. So I do, and it pays out for me. Find a Sylvan Ranger. Love this card. He plays Phyrexian Arena, and I thought about it like Force Willing, and then I realized if I Force Will this, I'm basically spending 2 cards to stop, you know, whatever he would draw. But Mystical Tutor with a Sylvan Ranger in play says, hey, go get Natural Order. And if I go get Natural Order, I can Terrasset on this and a couple of mana. So would it be better to Force a Will, or Terrasset on with Force a Will in my hand, and potentially, oh, and there's a blue card to go with it. Excuse me, the answer is definitely Natural Order. So he gets the Ristic Tutor. Very rarely do I ever see somebody playing that. It's actually a pretty good card. Just a little risky though. But overall, I would say, yeah, that's actually a fairly solid card. I mean, you know, you have to time it right, so you can't like rely on it. That's the thing I don't like about it. But at least in many cases, it'll be a Demonic Tutor. In a mono black deck, I would certainly consider it a little bit more, since that deck relies on heavy tutoring, power, and card drawing power. So anyway, fortunately, I top deck Guy's Cradle, and because I can draw Cradle, I'm able to attack, draw, see if it's Natural Order. It's not, so I go ahead and Mystical Tutor with my second draw on the stack, drawing the Natural Order, playing the Cradle, and make the play that I mentioned earlier. Terrasset on, jumps out, and he says, nope. All done. So Talon was knocked out, and then here I'm playing against Blizz 1, Sextuple X, I guess. XXX, 6 X's? I don't know. Blizz 1. So I play Boreal Druid. I guess somebody else was already named Blizz 1, and he had to put all his X's in there, or who knows. So I get the rest, but I mean, this card against Edric is... You probably want to save it for like the turn that you're planning to make a play, not just like randomly making me discard like that. I mean, what's going to happen here? I'm going to draw cards, and you're not going to draw replacement cards, right? So yeah, I draw some extras. Just come roaring out the gates. He's mana screwed over there because he's got this trash. He tries to kill Edric here. Very foolish. He should have just killed Priest. I mean, was he counting my mana? I don't really know. So I go, yeah, that's nice. And I go to recast him, and he realizes like how impossible it is to shut me down at that point, and just gives up. So he's playing against Bob 1980. There are actually, 1,979 other Bobs. He's the 1,980th Bob on here. I mean, that's got to be the reason why he's named that. It couldn't possibly be because he was born in 1980. So anyway, his mono blue deck, Thada, loses to Edric equipped with the GT. In fact, it probably loses to anything equipped with the GT, more than likely. So he gives up. And then here I played him. I'll save you a little time, but he decides that his best bet is to come at me with Jaya Ballard, because there's no way I can deal with that, right? Well, I mulligan down to 3 and no lands and figure, okay, I have one chance. If I draw a sack land, I'll sack it, cast a Mystic, and then I have to draw another land, and then I'm in the game. I don't, so I give up. So, alright, he beat me with his Jaya Ballard deck, sort of. Defeated by the Shuffler. Again, like, I really think that the mulligan rules suck in this game, and what should happen is that at the beginning of every game, each player should start out with draw the top 10 cards, and then select 7 and shuffle the other 3 back into their library. I think that's much better. I mean, if you wanted, you could have that be how you start your hand, and then mulligan would be you can draw a new hand of 10 and shuffle 3 back in, and you're going to have to keep that one or something. Or you could have like draw 10, shuffle 3 back, and then go to regular mulligan rules, draw 6 plus 3, shuffle 3 back, 5 plus 3, and shuffle 3 back. But if you did that, if they change the rules to that, so anyway, I mulligan again against him with this mono-red deck. If they change the rules to that, then a lot less games would end on turn 0. And I think that's a good thing. I think the game should not be about somebody mulligan and mulligan, mulligan, scoop. That should not happen in Magic. And I've proposed this to some people, and the arguments have been, well, it enables combo decks. And my counter argument is that it actually enables defensive decks, because if you are a combo deck, you have, like, let's say you are playing Ad Nauseam Tendrils, right? You've got Lion's Eye Diamond, Dark Ritual, Cabal Ritual, Pyretic Ritual, or whatever, possibly. You've got Black Lotus. You've got all kinds of different. You've got all kinds of Mana Crypt, Mana Vault, Soul Ring, the Moxes. You've got like almost limitless mana production resources, right? So if you're that guy and you get to use my mulligan system, you're going to have a hand with acceleration. If you don't use my mulligan system, you're going to have a hand with acceleration. It's going to happen either way. But let's say you're the other guy. Oh, we bugged out. This was a great game too. I'm going to go ahead and I'll go ahead and skip this one. Anyway, I did win the game where I actually got some mana, as you can see. So we'll go through the rest of these. But let's say you're the other guy, the guy that's trying to stop the combo deck. You've got very limited options. You might have like a few sideboard cards. Maybe you're playing Force of Will, maybe you're not. Playing blue. Oh, one of those. Edric, oh, it's too hard, I can't play. Alright, so Ivan Smash him. We'll see if this one was a game or not. So, if you're not the combo player, having a better mulligan system gives you more chances to draw your anti-combo hosers. I think that makes a lot more sense. Like, for example, let's say your solution is the white ley line, which makes you untargetable so that the tendrils can't kill you. Well, if that's the case, you only have 4 of them. They've got dozens of ways that they can go off and kill you, but you only have 4 solutions. So wouldn't it be better for you to draw 10 and put 3 back and make sure that one of them is ley line, and that you don't have, you know, like let's say you drew 4 ley lines. Well, you put 3 of them back. I mean, it would certainly make. So that was Ivan Smasham getting killed, and here's Cities to Ruin. That wasn't super interesting. It would certainly make, though, I think combo decks have more difficulty, which is a good, healthy thing, and would slow the format down, because it would be very dangerous for them to try to win. I mean, if you're playing against, like, say, Sneak and Show, which still, again, has a bunch of different ways to go off, your only answer might be Force of Wills. Maybe if you're going first, it's Force of Wills and Red Blasts. So a better mulligan system just gives you more chances to draw those Force of Wills. Anyway, so this guy gets totally overrun and he dies. I'm spinning through these games as quickly as I can, since should be interesting. And here's one where, oh, right, yeah, this guy wins also. So lost 2 tonight, but Both of them were just due to random nonsense. Brainstorm into that. How frustrating. Of course, if Restore were the land that it used to be, if it were the homeward path here, then I probably would have won this game. It is something to keep in mind. Overall, it's probably worth it, being what it is, but it's definitely something to keep in mind. So, finally, Hexus detained here. Anyway, I think you get my point with the mulligan system. Usually the answers are few. You know, you might have 4 black ley lines or 4 white ley lines or 4 forces of will or whatever. Usually their combos are many. So while it makes them more consistent, it makes you more consistent at stopping them, and I think that's fair. Meanwhile, it would make the game so much better because so few would actually end before they start. So this was kind of interesting. Fate Stitcher plus Soul Ring. Fate Stitcher is like having a second Soul Ring in play. I didn't realize when he played it that it was any permanent. So I was thinking about Gilded Draking it, and then I realized I had a better play. Just take it, or just kill it and draw an extra card. So I do. He unearths it, plays it, and uses his mana to... He has perfect mana there. He's able to cast Sculpting Steel and then clone the Soul Ring with Mirrorworks. Well, I mean, if I were him, I'd clone mine because it's kind of a better picture, but, you know, some people don't care about that stuff. So I go ahead and sack Expedition Map and get myself a Cradle. And so it's really weird. I mean, he missed a land drop. So you'd think, like, the right play here is go get Strip Mine, and then Strip Mine an island, get him down to just 1 blue, and then hold Gilded Drake so that I can take his Memnarch, you know, 2, 4, 6, 7. You'd think that's the play, but I have a much better play coming. And it involves this Cradle. Maybe you see it, but here it is. So I draw Wasteland, not too helpful, and attack to see if I can find anything more useful. And I draw Hive Master, Viridian Shaman. So watch this. I tapped 3 for Hive Master. And this Hive Master, this turn, is going to produce 4 mana. I spent 2 mana to play him, or he's going to produce 4 or more mana for me. And then I cast Deranged Hermit. So Hive Master produces a squirrel, an insect. So he is now worth 2 mana to Cradle. So I spent 2 to play him, but he's worth 2. However, I can also tap these 2 cards for Chord of Calling, making him worth 4 mana this turn. It's very cool. So thanks to that, I'm able to Viridian Shaman, which produces an insect. Viridian Shaman costs me 3 mana, but I can tap both of those for Chord, so it actually only costs me 1 mana this turn to play that. And so, with an abundance of mana, 3 additional mana left over, I Chord of Calling for 8, triple Terrastodon, and I mean, you know, Terrastodon, taking him down to just an island, and he gives up. So it was really crazy because in this last game, I have Edric in play with these 2 cards, this, no Guy's Cradle, a map, and I sack the map and I get Cradle, and all I have is 1 creature. But on the following turn, it blows up into this, and this is just, I think Chord of Calling, if you get Deranged Hermit, Chord of Calling is like almost an instant win, and in general it's pretty good. The kind of worst case scenario for Chord, I really like it. I really like being able to fetch my stuff as an instant. I like the interactions it has with some of the cards like Hermit, but also it works really well. Sword and Feast and Famine works with a few other things, but obviously with Wirewood. But the other thing that I really like about Chord is sometimes, like, you just go Forest, Mana Dork, you play another land, you sack it, and then you say go, and then you cast Chord for 0, and you go get yourself an Arbor. Generally only doing that when you're holding Cradle and you want to ramp out or whatever. Maybe you don't. Maybe you play second turn Edric, but the fact that you can use it as a sort of ramp and growth, and it gets cheaper and cheaper and cheaper as you develop, as you do exactly what you want, it temporarily turns all your... It temporarily it's like creating an invisible Gaia's Cradle. There's a Gaia's Cradle, when you have this in your hand, there's an invisible Gaia's Cradle in play. for every untapped creature you have, because you're going to produce mana with them when you search. And I don't know, it's pretty good. So anyway, that's the whole deck. 30 minutes. I hope you enjoyed it. Sorry if we had a bugged game. It was one of the better ones, and I had those 2 weird losses where brainstorm and draw absolutely no lands whatsoever. I think that was in both games maybe. Anyway, there is only 31 lands in the deck, but you shouldn't. It's still a 1/3 ratio. So when you're holding 10 cards in your hand and you've got cards in play. One of those should have been a land. Statistically, it's going to happen, but it's worth it because most of the time you're going to be drawing extra cards, and you're not going to miss land drops. Other times you're going to have like alternate mana sources or things that substitute, like the way that I was able to use Scrib Ranger for a mana source, a pseudo mana source. Restore can work as a mana source. There was one of my games where I restore my opponent's land to accelerate out. So, with all that stuff going on, I think 31 will probably be safe, but we do need to keep an eye on it. It's possible that this is overly ambitious and something may have to go, and we'll go back up to 32. We'll see. So, anyway, for now, here's the deck list, and I hope you enjoyed the games. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.